Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Some of you may have seen that I actually got to drive BMW UK's M3 CSL at some point last year. If you haven't seen the video, we'll put a link to that so you can check it out. At the time, I did think that that was going to be an expensive trip, and it has turned out to be correct because me and Bilal have now bought this beautiful sapphire black E46 M3 CSL. Now this video is not going to be about what the differences between this car and a normal E46 is. We'll do that at a later point, but what I'll do is quickly run through some of the differences on this car, and then we'll drive it, and then we'll also grab Bilal because he's not actually driven a CSL before and he hasn't even driven this one, so we'll get his first reactions. So what makes this car that little bit more special than a normal E46 M3 CSL? So visually you can already see it's slightly different. It has a different front bumper, which is carbon fiber, different lightweight wheels, different brakes, a completely different interior with lots of carbon inside, a different boot lid with a ducktail spoiler, and also a diffuser on the back of the car. The one thing that people really love about the CSL is the carbon airbox and the noise it makes, and we'll get to experience that in a little bit. Talking about experience, this car is not really about the visual aspect of it, it is really about driving. So let's jump in the car and see what it's like. Tell me that is not one of the best noises in the automotive world. It's so addictive. And that is one of the best things about this car. It's just the experience you get from it without going really crazy speeds. It's riding along this B road absolutely beautifully. For me, it's, apart from the noise of the airbox, the chassis on this is just fantastic, especially for our UK roads. So I've got the car in M-Track mode, so it's giving me a little bit of slip. The road is slightly damp at the moment. And as much aligned as the SMG is, and everyone keeps asking me to do a manual swap on it, it's not going to happen. For me, the SMG really does form part of the character of this car, and honestly when you learn to drive it, it's not that bad. So I did drive BMW UK's 24,000 mile CSL about a year ago, last year, as I mentioned earlier. So this video is not so much a review of the car because I've kind of already done that. But this car has 69,000 miles and honestly just feels as tight as I remember that car being. So it's one of those things you're slightly worried about when you've driven something which is probably the best it can be, being maintained by the manufacturer of the car. But this didn't disappoint. The previous owner of this car looked after it very well. It's only had 4 previous owners before that, and it has a very extensive history file with full BMW service history and any other work being carried out by people like Munich legends. So it's had everything that is actually needed. Forgive me while I go quiet. It's just so composed. And they have taken a lot of sound deadening out of this car, so you can hear little stones going out the back of the rear arches. And this car is completely stock, nothing has been changed on it. So this noise you're hearing is how it came from the factory. So I've only really driven it twice. When I drove it back from picking it up and basically just before making this video, and I just seemed to gel with the car very, very quickly. So the process of buying the car was actually quite interesting because there was no CSLs for sale. After I drove that BMW car, I came back, spoke to Bilal, and we missed an opportunity to buy probably 2 or 3 of these when we should have bought one like 4 years ago, and we thought, oh, they're a bit expensive, but the prices kept going up, so we thought we may as well pick one up before they go stratospheric. So I saw someone mention they may be interested in selling the car, so I messaged him and I said, can I come and have a look at it? Went down on that weekend, saw the car, saw the history file, And then it was just a matter of trying to negotiate a price. Because it wasn't for sale, that bit was a little bit tricky. So we managed to agree on a price we were kind of both happy about, and then we picked it up. So I'm really glad that we do actually own this piece of BMW history now. For me, it's a very, very special car. But what I'm going to do now is head back to the unit and pick Bilal up, because he has actually never driven a CSL in his life before. So he's owned an E46 M3. I'd driven CSLs when they were fairly new because we were doing work on them for customers, and I got to drive BMW UK's one last year, but he's never actually experienced it. So I'm really interested to get his reaction on the first time he drives an M3 CSL. So as I mentioned, I've driven a CSL many times before, and I also drove BMW UK's one last year, which led to us now buying this car. Bilal has never driven one.
No.
Ever. So this is literally the first time you're driving one.
I've driven a normal E46 M3,
Yeah.
but not a CSL version, so this is the first for me.
Come on, let's go.
Should we go?
Yep.
Okay, let's see what it's all about.
So while we're getting to a road where you can experience it, we'll just talk about our journey in buying one of these. We've wanted one for quite a while. Probably about 3-4 years we said we were going to buy one.
Yeah, I mean, it's always one of those cars that you've wanted for a long time, but then we were seriously considering for the last 3 years.
Yep.
And
we had a chance to buy one 3 years ago for £60,000.
Don't remind me, please.
With 24,000 miles on it, and we ummed and ahed and we didn't buy it, and we lost out on it.
Wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't our destiny to buy that
That
one.
car was the slower grey colour anyway, so it doesn't matter. We've got the faster black colour now.
That's it.
So this is a running theme apparently between CSL owners, like the black one's meant to be the slow one. But I think it's only because the grey ones outnumber the black cars, so they're just gang up on the black coloured cars.
Black was more rare. Yeah, it's more special.
It is, yeah. So we've got the car in sport, and the gear change is in, I'll put it in the highest setting for you so it's a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, I was feeling a bit sort of laggy there. Can we do something with that gearbox?
Yeah, so we're not going to modify this car. The only thing I'm going to do is put the Evolve software on it.
Okay.
So for the engine ECU, and that also then contains the shift speeds, so it makes it smoother as well.
Okay, cool.
But I think that's the only thing we want to do to this car. So what do you feel about the steering straight away?
Straight away, it's heavier, it's much more connected.
Yeah.
Much more feedback compared to what I remember the E46 used to be. Obviously it's a Z3 and we drove it was like a...
So did you own an E46?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Was it manual or SMG?
That was manual.
Manual.
That was manual.
So did you have much experience with the SMG cars?
No, not really at all.
Okay.
I've driven them,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really happy with them, the laggy gear change, but then we don't have an option in the CSL.
No. So a lot of people have been asking us to do manual gear swap, do right here. But to be honest, guys, I'm not interested, and there's a number of reasons for those. Bill, are you interested? I'll explain my reasons, but
I don't want to mess around with this car too much, to be honest.
my reasons are this: that number one, the CSL is meant to have the SMG gearbox, and it came with it, and I don't really have a problem with it, and we can improve it a little bit. And number two, BMW for me don't actually make a decent manual gearbox. Like the shifts are not as good, for example, as even a Honda S2000 or a Yaris GR or a Civic Type R, or I'm not even mentioning Porsche. So I feel like I'll be doing this car a disservice putting a manual gearbox in it.
I mean,
That's my
it's
reason.
not that bad now that you've made it more aggressive on
Yeah.
settings and on changing manually. It's not too bad. I love that steering.
Yeah. What about the compliancy and the suspension feel, considering this is a completely stock car?
Well, for that, I've only driven it a few hundred yards, but it feels really good. I mean, I'm going over some of these bumps. It's well damped, isn't it?
Yes, very well. So for me, that's probably one of the most, apart from obviously there's so much special about this car, but the chassis is so good.
Yeah, it does feel really tight.
And considering this car has 69,000 miles, it feels very, very good. It's been very well looked after. So I drove BMW's car which had 24,000 miles, and for me this feels
on par.
Yeah, it feels on par to me. But you have to remember that is a press car, so I mean I'm sure they maintain it really well. But
yeah.
So when I test drove this car, that was the first thing I felt. I felt like it felt like that car. So the maintenance was good and everything. So
it was very well planted.
Yeah.
Very minimal body roll as well, and then at the same time it's very well damped. So it's a perfect combination, isn't it?
Yep. They got it very right on this car. The interior is also very special because you've got the seats are very different to stock ones. You've got the carbon fiber door cards, the carbon fiber center console.
Yeah, it does feel like a special place to be.
Yeah. Wait till you put your foot down.
Yeah,
which you can do
waiting.
now.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
And this car is probably one of the main reasons why we actually made the plenum for the E92 M3, because BMW never made a CSL version of that. It was missing that induction roar, and that's what we've done with the Venturi plenum and intake on that car. It really brings out this kind of sound on the V8.
You know what, I was feeling really tired today.
Are you awake now?
Should have done this earlier.
Okay, so what we're going to do is Bilal's actually going to drive the car and get a proper feel of it, and then we'll join you again in a minute. That's close.
Oh my god.
Know what you want on your first drive? So now you've driven it a bit, what do you think?
I love it. It's so poised. You know, I have to keep reminding myself it's on a brand new car, and it just feels so accurate. The suspension step is incredible.
And this is a very, very bumpy road. This is probably the worst road around us.
Yeah, and it takes those bumps nicely. Just that sound. Oh. Yeah, like you said, I don't think there's another factory car out of the box which sounds like that, normally aspirated.
No, I don't think so.
Just the way they set this up is just accurate. I mean, it goes where you want it to go, right?
Yep.
And
doesn't get
road.
unsettled either by the bumps.
Yeah, this is a very bumpy road, and it's happy. I can 100% see how this is so fast around the ring.
So what do you think about the gearbox now? Is it as bad as people say it is?
No, you just gotta learn to use it. I think just a quick lift off the accelerator and then change.
Yeah, that does make it a lot smoother,
Yeah,
although it's a bit slow. But I mean, when you're in the fastest shift mode, it does have that clunk, but it is actually a very, very fast shift. It just feels a bit weird in doing it. It can shift faster than you can shift in manual.
Yeah, I believe that. You see that shifting down is nice and quick.
Yeah, so it's got rev matching as well,
Yeah.
which the normal SMG didn't have. So we used the rev matching for this and then applied it to the normal cars.
Okay. Yeah, once you get used to it, you kind of learn to appreciate it. It's not that bad. I wouldn't change it for a manual in this car anymore.
No, not in this car. So I mean, there's so many special things about this car. It's not something that we can cover in this video. This was just literally about the fact we bought one, my driving experience, Bilal's driving experience, but we will do a video later on where we'll actually compare it against a stock one and have a look at all the different parts that make the CSL so special. So Bill, now you've driven it, you happy with your purchase?
I am very happy with the purchase. Indeed. It's a car we wanted to buy to use, not just to store.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why I'm glad that we've got something that's not so low mileage that you can feel guilty driving.
100%.
So although it's almost 70,000 miles, it's still low mileage, and it's enough to allow you to not feel so bad driving it. So.
we've got lots of other cars, so we're not really going to do tons of mileage in it. But even if we own it for however long, we've got no intention of selling it, and we do 10,000 miles, realistically, it's not going to make a difference to us.
No, exactly.
In terms of the value. And we're not buying these cars completely as investments. We are buying them because we enjoy them and we like to drive them. They're not going to sit in like a cocoon and just sit there, because I would have better ways of investing my money than putting it into a car for it just to sit there.
You need to appreciate a car like this, you know, the engineering behind it, all the work that's gone into it. You can't just buy it and put it away. That's sacrilege.
Yeah, I agree. But that's what people are doing now. And I think if we got that low mileage one, I think we would have felt guilty.
Yeah, you would have felt
about
guilty
driving it. Yeah,
which is kind of wild.
You'd be like, oh, it's 24,000 miles. We have to keep it under 30.
See, that's why we didn't buy it.
Yeah. You knew there was a reason. Oh, that sound is so good.
It just makes you want to put your foot down.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not. Right, every car we buy, I put an exhaust in it. I'm not even interested in this car. I don't want to hear the exhaust. I just want to hear the induction.
That induction is glorious.
So out of the modern classics now, we have the E39, the E92, the Z3 M Coupe, and the M3 CSL. There are 2 more cars that we're interested in. No, 3.
Is it 3?
There's 3. So we are also interested in the
Z4M
M Coupe, the 2002 Turbo, and the Z8. So okay. I don't know whether we'll be able to get all of them or what order they're going to come in, but we're definitely interested in the Z4 M Coupe next, I think.
Yeah, that's the next one to go, I think.
Yeah.
It's at a good price point. The other 2 are a bit more of a stretch, but
yeah, but you never know. We might work towards it. I think that for me the Z8 will be like the ultimate. That's like a dream car.
That's a proper, you know, bucket list car.
Yeah, 100%. So I think we'll wrap the video up there, guys. Thanks for joining us. We will have more updates on the CSL. As I said, it's not going to be modified, so you won't see like a project on this, because it's not that kind of car for us. We just want to drive it, enjoy it for what it is, and we will do further content on it, actually showing you the differences between a CSL and a normal car, maybe some of our driving experience with it. So that's it for now, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on. If you want to join the conversation, please drop us a comment below and we will do our best to respond to you. And if you're running out of things to watch, why don't you watch one of these 2?